The Seventh Tower by Garth Nix. Book 2, Castle, Chapter 5. Jump? Exclaimed Tal. Impossible! It must be 10, even 12 stretches. Mila tilted her face mask back and looked at the chasm again. No, we can jump it, she said. Even you. There has to be another way, Tal said desperately. He went over to the side of the road against the mountain and tested his weight against an outcropping of rock above his head. The rock came free, with a lot more besides, nearly braining Tal. Mila was right, it was too loose. Tal looked down at the gap again. It would be suicide to try to jump over it. He couldn't even see the bottom. They were almost at a turn in the road, so it would be a straight drop to the road below. That had to be at least 500 stretches. He looked back. Mila was strapping the toothy jawbones they used as spikes onto her boots. She had also taken out something Tal hadn't seen before, gloves of thin Selski hide with long curved claws of reddish bone. You will have to help me with the claw hands, Mila said as she finished strapping on her boot teeth. She then tried to hammer a bone piton into the road, but it wouldn't go through the sections where there was metal, and the stone crumbled everywhere else. Finally, Mila shrugged and put the piton back. She left her pack lying on the ground and strapped her Merwinhorn sword onto her back instead. She slipped on the clawed gloves. Tal saw that they had to be tied onto her wrists, so he helped her, patiently following her instructions on how to do the right knots. Move the lanterns to the edge, said Mila. She had not put her mask back on. Tal saw her eyes move calculatingly to the far edge. Shouldn't you be tied to a rope? He asked. I can hold it. There is nothing to secure it to, said Mila. You would only be dragged down. She hesitated, then said, If I fail, Tal, you will try to go on. You will fulfill the quest and get a sunstone for my clan. Then I may become a shield maiden, even after death. Tal looked at the dark gap and was tempted to say that if Mila couldn't jump it, he would have no chance. But she had used his name and hadn't looked at him with her usual scorn. I will try, he said, with a gulp. I would not ask normally, said Mila, but I am still not at my full strength. Great, Tal muttered under his breath. He looked at the gap again, then reached out to touch Mila's claw hands. All right, I'll jump first, he said. What? Mila was suddenly angry again. Do you doubt my courage? She took her hands away and stalked back 20 or so steps, out of the light of the lanterns. I'll show you a shield maiden's courage, she shouted angrily. No, Mila, shouted Tal. Wait, I didn't mean... Take your time. Before he could finish, Mila came sprinting out of the darkness. She passed Tal in a blur, her arms and legs pumping. 2 paces from the edge, she threw herself forward, arms outstretched. Yeah! Tal rushed to the edge. There was a clatter of rocks. He couldn't see Mila on the other side. He raised one of the lanterns, a sick feeling in his stomach. Nothing moved in the small pool of light. Mila! Tal shouted, his voice echoing into the emptiness. No answer came, but one small movement caught Tal's eye, a clawed hand reaching up over the lip on the far side. Another followed it, then Mila's head. With a choking grunt, she pulled herself up over the edge and crawled a few paces forward. Anyone normal would have collapsed gratefully then, but Mila staggered to her feet and looked back at Tal. As their eyes met, Tal realized that now he had to jump, without the claw hands. But at least there was no wind. Throw over a rope, Mila yelled. I will secure it to the pyramid. Tal rummaged out a rope with relief. At least he would have a rope. If he did fall, it would only be, well, far enough to be seriously hurt instead of killed. If he was lucky. When he turned to throw the rope over to Mila, she was bent over, her hands on her knees, obviously in pain. As soon as he moved, she shot back upright, as if she had never felt the slightest twinge. Tal didn't say anything. He just threw over the coiled rope. He really didn't understand these ice curls. Mila cut through the laces on her claw hands, removed them, made a loop with the rope, and easily flipped it over the top of the pyramid. It seemed secure enough, though she inspected the edges to make sure the crystal would not cut the rope. Once the edges might have been sharp, but long exposure to wind, snow, and rain had rounded them off. Tal caught the end she threw back. "Tie a pack on," Mila instructed, "and one of the other ropes, so we can lower it down and then back up." Tal quickly did as he was told. Passing the second rope behind his back, he lowered the pack down until Mila's rope was taut. Then she could swing it across and pull it up. They then repeated the process with Tal's pack and one of the lanterns. The other lantern had a rope tied to it, but it would be left until last, so Tal could see where to jump. Tal was glad that all this delayed his own crossing. He was still trying to work out another way to get across, though there didn't seem to be any alternative. Once again, he walked to the edge and looked down. A momentary dizziness hit him, and he stepped back suddenly. So suddenly he almost fell. There had to be another way. Ignoring Mila, he backtracked down the road, holding the lantern up to look at the sheer face of the mountainside. If he could find solid rock, he could climb higher and then get across, to get past the gap. He thought he could see a ledge, and for a moment he was filled with hope. Then he realized it was only an illusion, caused by a band of darker stone. There was no other way across. No other way, if he wanted to get back to the castle. Mila threw the rope over again. Tal tied it around himself, and then the free end to the specially made loop on his new, wider belt. "If I don't make it," he said, then faltered. Even if he asked her to, Mila would never be able to find his father, save his mother, or rescue Gref. And the Chosen did not have posthumous promotions. If he fell here, he would never fulfill his dreams of rising Violet. Brilliance Tal Grail Rerum, Shadow Lord of the Violet Order, would never be. "What?" shouted Mila. Tal shook his head slowly, clearing his head of dreams. This time, Mila looped the rope twice more around the pyramid and left only enough slack so that Tal could lay it out to one side of his run, where he wouldn't trip over it. When everything was ready, Tal backed up into the darkness. He stood there for some time, trying to get his heart to slow down enough so that he could actually tell individual heartbeats apart. His shadow guard stood next to him, barely visible against the dark stone. It was too weak to be of much use, with only the moth lanterns for light. Even so, it leaned forward like a racer about to start, and Tal knew it was trying to encourage him. It had gotten much colder, but Tal wasn't sure how much of that was just from standing still, and how much was from fear. Mila seemed to be a long way away, at the end of a tunnel. A small figure lit in green, with the pyramid's reflection sparkling around her. "It's just like the achievement of body," Tal whispered to himself. "Someone has put a gasping hole in my way. I win if I jump it. Violet ray of attainment. Jump, win, jump." Taking a very deep breath, he started to run. The teeth on his boots shrieked on the stone of the road. Rope whisked up next to him as green light, and the darkness of the gap rushed at him, faster and faster. "Yeah!" screamed Tal as he hurled himself forward into thin air.